Hello everyone, it's Scott and welcome back to another episode of Feed the Beast Infinity Valve Skyblock Expert Mode. So I'm standing over here in front of the completed Tinker's Construct smelteries. So this is now feeding from the grinding area upstairs. This one last chest that's accumulating all the dust pieces are now heading down through a transfer node. So let's open this. So the transfer node has filters for the primary dust pieces, which are then going into 3 respective smelteries where I can guarantee that the contents will not combine. And then each one of these has a smeltery drain, which is then feeding a set of casting basins, which are then hooked up to hoppers, which are then delivering into this chest. So from this, I have quite a number of blocks of each of the primary materials. So I'm going to throw them back into the storage area shortly. But just before I do that, let's demo that I have a smeltery drain hooked up to a servo. Each servo is whitelisted with a bucket of the appropriate fluid. And so I've turned this off to ignored, turned that on whitelist. And so these are then hooked up through hardened fluid ducts. I'm not sure if I want to, if there's any other one I could be using, but the fluid ducts are actually rated by temperature level. So we have will break if contents are hot or cold, and I'm not sure if that just applies to lava, but when I see molten material, that makes me want to go and use a hardened fluid duct. So that's working out pretty darn good here. And as I just showed, I have one more thing in the works. But let me go upstairs and just demo this big block over here, because this is a 9 radius, 4 tall iron tank. So as you can see, it is capable of storing what's that number? 6,400,000 buckets of, well, millibuckets, so let's divide that by 1,000. So 6,400 buckets of lava. And so I've hooked this up with a lava fabricator over here, which is another MFR device that will just, it will absorb RF power, and after a certain amount, it will kick off a fraction of a bucket, and that's getting poured into here, into the iron tanks, where it's then feeding out the back to, you can see it down there, to each of the Tinker's Construct smelteries. And so I have so much stuff going on. I'm not sure if there's a bug, because I can see lava flowing into the iron tank, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So yeah, I don't think that there's an issue with valves on the bottom, where if they leak or anything, because I've had extra valves and not had issues in the past, and but this one doesn't seem to be filling for whatever reason. So now I've moved the molecular transformer over here, and so I've been just burning down. Whoops! Let me empty my inventory first. I've just been burning down glowstone at quite an incredible rate. Let's just head over here and do a simple double right click to move all those blocks out of my inventory. Excellent. And so, other improvements. So I ended up building another section over here. Can I drop down? Well, that's a long way down. Okay, so can I drop down here? No, that's too dangerous. Okay, so I built another section of the island over here, and I have completely populated it with farms. And then each of the farms, I've now almost completely expanded the redstone ore underneath. So there's quite a number of redstone that are generating right now. And I fixed the sludge boiler. I moved it over here so it's sufficiently distant. So that's working out pretty good. I've expanded the logistical chassis here. I've added a number of more formulas for lead and double lead plate. So each one of these then, I haven't done anything with the canning machine yet. I was going to do that on camera, I think. But the thing I want to make next is I'm ready to start the nuclear reactor. Okay, at the end of last episode, I demonstrated that there's a upgrade path from crushed uranium ore. So this stuff is what I'm getting in the sifting from the ex nihilo sieve. So that's coming through from my sand sifter, which at this point I can basically put it through this thermal centrifuge to produce uranium and uranium-238. So I've already ground down quite a bit of that. So I have a tiny pile of uranium and a lot of 238. And what I can do with that is that I can combine them to create enriched uranium nuclear fuel. So let's do a couple of those. And what I can do with these guys, which should be over here, enriched uranium fuel, is that I can use them to create uranium blocks. I can use them to create MOX nuclear fuel. But I can't do that until I have plutonium. So that's the problem. So MOX nuclear fuel is the best stuff, but I really need the plutonium, and the plutonium is produced as a byproduct of working with the depleted fuel rods. Alright, so here's the path. So I go from the enriched uranium fuel with a fuel rod in a canning machine. And so that's what I have right here with the solid fluid canning machine. So if I take this and plug these 12 into the machine in the center here, that if I have the fuel rod empty, which these guys are pretty simple, just put them through a metal former, that's going to create one of those fuel rods. And so let's grab that. Okay, here. So the uranium fuel rod then is what I want to put through the nuclear reactor in order to create the spent rods that I can then extract plutonium from. So let's head upstairs and get going on the nuclear reactor. So I think I have almost everything at this point to make the reactor. So let's find, here it is, IndustrialCraft Nuclear Reactor. So it's going to require some dense plate, the standard generator, standard advanced circuit, and the dense lead plate's going to come through a compressor with lead plate. And so at that point, I think I'm almost ready to go. The big guy here, the reaction chamber, is actually not that complicated. It's only more lead and a basic machine casing. And since I ground down all of those pieces, let's find my lead. I now have 60 blocks of lead. So that is pretty cool. So hopefully I should be able to just kick off some formulas here. So let's take a look, reactor chamber, and I'm going to need at least 9 of these. And there we go. Request sent. 9 reactor chambers. So that's going to route a number of stuff around. It's probably going down to the machine level as we speak. Doot doot doot. And let's take a look over here. Alright, so this one is ticking. So the metal former is making the iron. So this is stuck. It probably wants to put lead in on this side. That's why it's glowing this little purple because it means it's jammed. Okay, so as pieces fly out of the yep, okay, the iron, there they go, and that's going to create the casing that I need to to build the part. So let's head up and take a look. What I wanted to demo here with the molecular transformer is I ended up hooking it up to wire connectors, and so let me grab that out and grab some more glowstone. So the reason I upgraded from medium volt to high voltage is I wanted to be able to make sure that I could get the fastest rate available from my devices. So I ended up making a capacitor formula, so I'm able to store 16 million RF in this capacitor system over here. And so when I dump in glowstone, so let's grab the right thing here, glowstone dust, we can see that the progress bar is literally ticking. I can watch it just race along, and so it's actually extracting 6,500 RF per tick, and this is going to fluctuate somewhere around 6,500 to 7,000. I think that there's a amount of, because this is going that way, there's an amount of fuel that's being used because of the formulas, but I can easily drain this down to 0 by the time it gets to 5. So yeah, so that's a lot of power that this is grinding through. So what I want to do next is make a couple more enervation dynamos, and the way to do that is I'm going to need to make some more of these gears. So let's grab this, throw in the ingots, and trade out the casting for the gears. So I'm also going to take this transfer node out for now because of the issues I'm having with the with having to extract faster than the combining can occur. So with that, I now have 72 ingots worth. So now I can put the transfer node back and let that start spitting out gears. So once I have enough gears put together, I'll be able to throw down more dynamos and basically load them up with redstone. I should point out I now have 988 blocks of redstone, so I can easily throw down. I'm thinking of building an automated system next to lay out to basically auto refill the dynamos from the storage network. But first, let's just wait for all this crafting to finish up. Alright, while I'm waiting for the reactor chambers to complete, I've been messing around with this cannon machine, and what I found was that I can put lapis lazuli dust, which I'm getting from burning down lapis in lazuli dust over here, which I got from burning down in the sag mill, just as I did before. So I can, I actually made a macerator, but I haven't hooked it up to the system yet. Not that keen on this exchange rate. Well, yeah, it's the same exchange ratio, but I need to figure out how to get this guy, the IC2 coolant, out of the canning machine and into the coolant canister. So let's take a look here. So in order to make a 10K coolant cell, it says that I need to start with a regular coolant cell. What was this one? Okay, that just renews itself. So I need to start with an empty coolant cell, which says I need a bottler to take this IC2 coolant and put it into an empty cell, or my fluid transposer. So I kind of like that. So maybe the answer is to use another fluid transposer into one of these tanks. So will it let me do that? If I'm wondering if it's actually going to suck out the water or not. Nope. Good. Okay, cool. So how much is actually in here? Enough. Okay, so let's let this absorb a full tank. And I also queued up a couple empty cells in the crafting system. So let's set everything. Okay, so that made 8 buckets worth. So let's grab that back up. Grab this. Head upstairs. And I should hopefully have the cells now. Okay, it's only made 1 reactor chamber so far. Cells. Nope. Okay, so tin. That's right. I needed the tin plate. Okay, so tin plate through an extruder. If I can find it. Macerator, compressor, metal former creates the empty cells. So if I go down with the tin and find the extruding machine, that's the cutting, extruding, okay, and then it'll create the bottles that I need that I'm going to fill with this coolant tank. So yeah, I'll eventually work out and get a more automated system here. So let's head over here. How am I going to get this into the... Oh. I have this problem again, don't I? Okay. So let's take the tank. I think if I flip the sign here, is it going to want to... Let's put it in... Yep, export mode. Excellent. Okay. That's good enough. So let's grab that glowstone out. Let's take the regular coolant, place it here, and then what we'll do is we'll flip the sign so that this is now an input. We'll flip that around. Is that smart enough to... Let's try explicitly piping it in with the transfer node. So maybe it needs a little help. Maybe it actually needs a push and can't pull by itself. So there we go. IC2 coolant, absorbing, coolant cell. Excellent. Okay. So let's grab these. And with that, I should have all the pieces I need for the overclocker upgrades. So let's throw that back into the system. Overclock. And request. Yes, request successful. Excellent. Phew. Okay. So that should work out fine. Now, I also want to make a IC2 generator here. So somewhere in here should be a plain Jane generator. And so that's going to use RE battery and a lot of iron plate. And there we go. So I'm going to need that for the nuclear reactor as well. Reactor chamber. Is something getting stuck? I don't know. Maybe it gave up. Did something get jammed? Actually, let's grab the overclocker upgrade. Okay, that hasn't materialized yet, so maybe something is jammed down below. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll be right back. Alright, one of the viewers was asking why I was still using hammers for making my plates when I had a perfectly good metal former. And I think this is kind of showing why, because each one of these is incredibly slow. And so the iron is actually, in this crafting cycle, it needs to create a copper plate, a iron plate, and lead plates in order to make the reactor chamber. So the overclocker upgrade actually did eventually respawn. It turned out that I had accidentally left the 27 extra cells here in the metal former, which was blocking the the wiring. So what I'm going to do is take this and where do I put the overclocker upgrade? Do I put it? Okay, here. Decrease process time and increase power. So let's see how is that really. I think I need at least 3 more in order to move forward here. So yeah, so that means I'm going to need to get a lot more lapis working through the sag mill. So let me at least get another stack started. Boop. And what I ended up doing there was I had put in a double layer capacitor as well as flint in the middle here, which is, you can see how much faster this is ticking down. It's using a lot more power than it was before, mind you, but it's at least, well, I have to be careful now. Now it's processing faster than my transfer pipes can manage here. So double compressed. Okay, so the sand is fine. That's actually being produced by, okay, this is the gravel maker. So that means this is the sand maker. So, yeah, why isn't that loading over here? Whoops. Ooh, okay. Made a mistake there. How come I have a hole here in the middle of my base? Who designed that? Ah, okay. I have to be real extra careful now. How's stuff piping around? Oh, okay, because the sand's also being used over here to make dust. That's why. Okay. So let's load that into here. Into here. There we go. Okay, keep that running. So let's grab the lapis. Dump it in here. And then I'm going to need those empty cells. Oh, no, I'm just going to let that craft up again. And with that, I think I should have everything. I should have all 3. Nope, it's still making reactor chambers. So let's take a look at the reactor itself again. So, dense iron plate. We got the generator. We're going to need another advanced circuit, of which I have 3. So let's get one of those out. Great. And yeah, so I'm going to wait for the plate and wait for the reactor chamber. And yeah, should be done soon. Alright, I loaded this in with a couple more overclocker upgrades. So this is now running at 24% of the amount of time that it used to take with just 4 of these. Now I have 6 times multiplier the amount of energy that it takes to produce this, but at this point it should be producing enough lead plate here that every 9 of these it should be kicking off a dense lead plate, and so that should be one of the last pieces that I need for the nuclear reactor. Yep, there we go. So let's head upstairs and check on how everything is coming together. And the other thing I did was I set up some formulas for the enervation dynamo, and oh, I guess it's conflicting with the yeah, there's a lot of stuff routing back and forth because of the plates. So here's the dense plate. So let's queue up the nuclear reactor. And at this point, I should have everything I need as soon as that last plate rolls in. Okay, there we go. Done. one nuclear reactor. Excellent. So that should be routing the dynamos then. So that'll cover the next piece that I need. Let's see. Okay, so now I have to figure out where do I want to put this thing. I think this seems to be the power generation side of the island. So I'm feeling like I need to maybe load it up somewhere out here, I think. And what on earth is going on? I don't know. Lots of squids dying. So maybe if I kind of build out here into the void, that way I'm not too far from the capacitor bank when I need to store some power. So why don't I take care of that? I'll probably need to make another high voltage wire conductor since it is EU powered. So let me queue that up and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've built the reactor. I placed it off of a peninsula away from my capacitor system, and I've hooked it up with an MV wire. So by default, all these were grayed in with little X's, so that limits the size of the nuclear reactor. And so to increase the size, what I have to do is put 6 reactor chambers around the central nuclear reactor, and that's what's going to create a multi-block that's going to open up all of these slots. So before I do anything, I need to make sure that I have the right ratios of coolant to proceed. So what I ended up doing was going to a reactor planner. Alright, so this should be the reactor planner. So I googled it. It's under IndustrialCraft Reactor Planner version 3. I'll leave a link to it down in the description section below. But it's pretty old, well, about a year old it looks like, but it's still being updated. And so tooling around, I have a configuration here that looks like it's going to work. So if I make overclocked heat vents and then these component heat vents, that seems to work well enough to handle all 4 levels or a size 4 quad uranium cell. And so I'm going to be starting off with the level 1 cells. So these are going to be yellow means that it's underutilized. Black means that it's not being needed as far as cooling. But I'm just going to set this up because this seems to be a repeating pattern that I'll be able to fit in this 3x3. I'll be able to fit 6 of these. Now there is another design out there that fits 7. So I may look into that in the future, but since this is the first time I'm using IndustrialCraft nuclear reactors, I'm going to play it safe and just use this this pattern because anything else is going to lead to catastrophic disaster. So if I don't have enough coolant, it's basically going to melt my components, well, in under a minute, and basically then it will explode and take out most of my base. So playing it safe. So let's go back and take a look at the heat vents. So back to Minecraft. So let's bring up the heat vents. And what I'll want to do is make 2 of these, which it says I'm missing iron bars. Oh, okay, iron bars. That's a little different. Okay. Iron bar does not have a formula. Interesting. Okay, well I guess I haven't needed to do that yet, so let's head down quick and take care of that. So I had to move stuff around a little tiny bit here. I was getting a conflict, so this was actually dumping items into these last 2 channels here. So that is now fixed. Let me find an open spot and then we will make iron bars. Great. And load that into the formula. There we go. And let's get back to crafting. So, heat vents. Let's make 2 of these. And I'm going to need 4 of the overclock vents. There we go. So I just have to wait for these to roll in. And there we go. That took about, I want to say, 8 minutes real time. So I ended up having to go down and shift the overclockers around in the extruder in order to get the clear the backlog here. So this one's going to need a lot more upgrades as well. So let's grab out the fuel rod uraniums and head over here to the reactor. So if I do this right, I should be able to put the component heat vents here, overclockers here. And at this point, I probably wanted to back up my base, but I forgot. So let's throw in the fuel rod, one of these, and see what happens. I don't know if anything's happening, actually. Alright, I just did a little bit of a alternative testing here, and I'm not sure if it's because I have the highest heat absorbing guys, but what I'd like to do is this design here. So using single layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, should produce 50 EU per tick, will not blow up, will run the full cycle of 2 hours and 46 minutes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 down here. I'm still not getting any kind of output, which is rather odd. Oh my gosh, I feel so dumb because what I was missing was you have to hit this with a lever in order to turn it on. So let's power that up, and now we're getting 50 EU per tick with a core temperature of 0%. So this is actively cooling everything as long as I don't play with any of the fuel rods. So with that, I'm going to call this an episode. So it's going to take 2 hours and 40 minutes of real time for this reactor to deplete those fuel rods. So after that point, I'll have the depleted fuel rods that I can just start mining for plutonium, and yeah, so that'll be pretty cool. I'm kind of debating whether I want to create a second nuclear reactor. I've been reading that some people create up to 4 in order to, I guess, produce the amount of material that they need in order to start unlocking applied energistics. So with that, please leave a comment or a like. Let me know how I'm doing, and I will see you next time in Feed the Beast Infinity Evolve Skyblock Expert Mode. Bye!